Hello, it's Lromanosky from Calgary, Canada, and I'm shooting from the lug nuts facility. And what we have in filling up the background is a 2020 Winnebago Boldt BL. And so this vehicle is being auctioned off online. It's the second video that I've done on this. It just got back from a week-long trip off the grid in the middle of a farmer's field in the middle of central British Columbia to demonstrate the power system and the Boldt's unique ability to run all of the equipment, including the AC and microwave and induction cooktop, while not being plugged in with no electrical service for more than a week. Okay, so I did that video, which is in kind of a vlog format, which is about an hour long. But I wanted to do this video as basically a walk-around presentation of the vehicle, showing the individual appliances and so on, and basically the lack of flaws on the exterior and so on. So the video will be broken into sections. We can talk about Class B motorhomes in general, where the Winnebago Boldt fits in with that, how the lithium-ion Volta Pure3 battery system differentiates it from other Class Bs. Then we can go through the cupboards and go through the different appliances and so forth, storage and whatnot, walk around the video, show you what all the buttons do, and then give you a pretty good idea of what is for sale. Okay, so the first section, let's talk about the Class B motorhomes in general. So a Class B motorhome is a camper van right now, and there are no manufacturers that build their own chassis and then their own RVs on top of those. So the manufacturers like Airstream or Winnebago or Pleasureway or Thor or whatever they are, they'll buy existing chassis. Now, there's not too many on the market in North America that are sold to RV makers, but there is the Mercedes Sprinter chassis, which this is. There is a Ford Transit, and there's a Dodge Ram ProMaster. So essentially, from what I can gather, probably more than 90% of all the Class B motorhomes sold in North America use one of those three chassis, okay? Okay, so the biggest differentiator of the Mercedes chassis is that it's a diesel. So what we're looking at right now is a 3-liter turbo diesel. It is around 190 horsepower and around 300 pound-feet of torque. It has enough power, even for a vehicle this size, but really what makes it unique is the fuel economy and the range. Diesel, just as a liquid fuel, has 30% more energy in it than gasoline. So any diesel versus gasoline comparison would result in the diesel version getting 30% better fuel economy and or 30% greater range. So with this particular car, or RV, I've got, on a trip from Calgary over the Rocky Mountains and back, an average of 12.5 liters per 100 kilometers. The lifetime average of this vehicle is, I think, 14 and change liters per 100 kilometers. And what I found is that this vehicle gets almost exactly the same fuel economy as my Range Rover does, yet it's twice as big. So that is the principal advantage of the Mercedes Sprinter chassis, in that you get more range, better fuel economy, and also it's a turbo diesel with a lot more low-end torque. So in terms of lugging power and use for a vehicle that's heavy, diesel is, in my opinion and most people's opinion, a far superior power plant. It's more expensive, but it's far superior because it gives you a lot more low-end torque and a lot better fuel economy. So if you want a Class B motorhome based on with a diesel powertrain, then the Sprinter is your only choice. The American versions, although they're fine chassis, they're gasoline engines. They have to rev higher to get the torque, and they don't get the range or the fuel economy. In addition to that, because it is a Mercedes who are pioneers in safety and advanced safety systems and driver aids and so on, and this Sprinter chassis is from 2019. It's a 2020 Winnebago Boldt built on a 2019 Sprinter chassis, registered as a 2019 Sprinter. Okay, so it takes a year to build. But this chassis was redone for 2019. It's called a VS30, and it has a whole host of cameras, radars, and driver aids, the latest generation of those, with haptic, like an audible alert, a visual alert on the dash, haptic feedback where the steering wheel will shake or the brake pedal will pulse, and then intervention where it'll actually brake fully to stop. So, and this is controlled by cameras in the windscreen and radar in the front and rear bumpers. This is blind spot assist and pedestrian detection, adaptive cruise control, crosswind assist, and a whole host of other acronyms which describe a suite of driver aids which actually work really well, including the headlights, the headlight assist, etc. They work really well, and especially on a big vehicle, make it a lot more manageable on the road. I parallel park this vehicle in downtown Calgary, and because of the excellent camera system and guidance system for parking, it makes it actually pretty easy. Okay, so summarizing, if you want a Class B and you want a diesel, it has to be a Sprinter van. The Sprinter van also has other advantages in terms of the diesel has other advantages, fuel economy and low-end torque, and the Mercedes chassis has other advantages, including, you know, drivability, roadability, safety, braking, etc., all of that. So the highest end Class Bs are all on Sprinter chassis, okay? And the most expensive ones. All right. So then, also within the Mercedes chassis family, we've got a 144-inch wheelbase, 170-inch wheelbase, so two different wheelbases. And then we have different weight ratings. We have a 1500, a 2500, a 3500, and even a 4500. This is based on the 3500 Mercedes chassis. It gives you the dual rear wheels and a gross vehicle weight rating of 11,000 pounds. Now, to put that in perspective, when I weighed the vehicle with me in it, with fuel, with water, I got to around 9,000 pounds. So even full of fluids and ready to go somewhere, I had almost 2,000 pounds of extra payload capacity with this vehicle. So that, you know, I could have an extra couple passengers, but that I would still have ample, more than ample, excess payload capacity. So that's what the 3500 Sprinter chassis does for you. The stability of the dual rear wheels and the additional weight rating so that you can go somewhere and basically fill it up with an extra 2,000 pounds worth of stuff. Okay, next, there's lots of manufacturers that start with a 3500 Mercedes Sprinter chassis, including Winnebago, and they have different versions of it. So where does the Boldt fit in Winnebago's lineup and compared to the other manufacturers of Class B motorhomes based on the same chassis? The biggest differentiator of the Boldt, and why it is the highest end Winnebago, the most expensive Winnebago, is because of the Volta energy system in it. Now, this is a high-end lithium-ion battery pack, basically automotive grade, that's adapted for an RV. Now, I did, like I mentioned, this video taking it off the grid and demonstrating the advantages of that. So, as you would have in a PHEV, or a plug-in electric hybrid, you have a big battery pack. This isn't the batteries that, typical RV or car batteries. These are, based in battery packs with either, prismatic cylinder cells or with different sheaths, all put in different modules, all built and encased, and then thermally managed with cooling circuits and electronics which manage the temperature of it. So this has one of those. It would almost be if you took it from, you know, something like a Toyota plug-in hybrid or one of the other plug-in hybrids and just put it in the RV. So this offers a few advantages. First of all, and the key thing, the key differentiator is that it's high voltage. Without getting too technical, what high voltage does is allow you to either charge or discharge with a lot less heat, because the wattage or kilowatts or watts is a function of the amps times the volts. And if you increase the voltage, you can decrease the amps. If you decrease the amps, you can decrease the size of the wires, the weight of the wires, and the heat going through the wires, and the losses from the heat going through the wires. So all EVs are high voltage. The automotive industry runs on 12 volt for ICE, normal combustion engine cars, but 12 volt isn't enough to run the motor to power an EV. 12 volt isn't enough to take a rapid charge. So 12 volt is not enough to charge at a fast rate or discharge at a fast rate. To do that, you need higher voltage, okay? If you tried to do that with 12 volt, you'd have copper battery cables that were this thick, generating too much heat, okay? So the Volt is a high-end system using more expensive, bespoke, high voltage parts so that it can charge quick and discharge quick. Now, by discharging quick, I mean running the AC and the microwave and the stovetop and all of the electrical amenities that you could run if you plugged it into a 30 amp shore power. There's no difference in this vehicle in terms of what you can do with it inside, from plugging it into a shore power or using the battery pack. So that's one key differentiator. 12 volt systems, even if they have lithium ion batteries, will just about all have limitations as to how fast they can charge and how much stuff they can power, okay, at the same time. So with this Volta system, the components of it are that we have a 13.5 kilowatt hour gross battery pack, cased and thermally insulated, that lives underneath the front bed. Okay, it's a high voltage system at something over 50 volts. That's over 4 times what other RV systems are that are 12 volts. If you double the voltage, you quarter the heat. You quarter the amount of losses from heat from converting AC to DC, charging and discharging. So with a high voltage system, you have the ability to charge a lot quicker, and you have the ability to discharge quicker to power all of the appliances in the coach at the same time. That's the core piece of the Volta system. To charge it while driving, it is a 7 kilowatt auxiliary generator. It runs when the engine's over 1500 RPM. Because it is so powerful, 7 kilowatts, and we are charging what amounts to a 12 kilowatt hour usable, so 13 kilowatt hour total or gross. Of that, they wall a little bit off at the top and bottom end to protect the battery. That gives you 12 kilowatt hours in the middle, which is usable, and you've got a 7 kilowatt auxiliary generator. 7 into 12 is less than 2, so 2 hours of running on the highway puts back 12 kilowatt hours into the battery pack. So it charges extremely quickly and under 2 hours, okay? In addition to that, we've got the ability to plug the vehicle in either with 120 with a 15 amp circuit or a 30 amp circuit. Okay, so these are both 120 volt. This isn't 240, it's still 120, but this is the camping outlet, and this is the normal residential outlet, and then we've got an adapter here. So I can plug this into I think this is a 20 amp breaker, so we're getting something about 2 kilowatts and the charging port's over here. And so we'll go from 20 to 100, it's about 20 right now, to 100 in about 4 hours using the 120 volt adapter. If we were at a campsite and I was plugging into a 30 amp breaker or system, I would use this bigger plug. I wouldn't use that. And because I'm getting a 30 amp service, I'm putting in something like 3.5 kilowatts into it. And so, I'm charging this from 0 to full in maybe 3 hours with like a camping type plug. But the onboard generator, which is 7 kilowatts, is double what even the 30 kilowatt system is. So it'll charge the battery pack twice as fast while driving than if I hook it up to shore power. Okay. Then we've got this battery pack that's 12 kilowatt hours of usable power running at high voltage. So it needs to be able to take that DC power and power all the AC appliances like the air conditioner and like the stove and the microwave, etc. Those all draw a relatively high amount of power, air conditioning especially. So we need an inverter to convert the DC power in the battery to the AC. This is a 3.6 kilowatt inverter. So 3.6 kilowatt, that's what it can produce or discharge. That is basically exactly the same as what a 30 amp shore plug or a camping plug will provide. So the battery has enough, well, it has storage, but it has enough a discharge rate to replicate the vehicle being plugged in, meaning you don't have to think about anything. You can just turn everything on when you want to. And that is not the same as other systems that have a smaller inverter because they have 12 volt systems. They can't discharge that much power that quickly to run everything. Okay, so the Volta system includes the battery pack, which is encased, thermally managed, and computer controlled, and the ability to charge it from shore with a 30 amp service, and the ability to charge it from the chassis, from the engine at 7 kilowatts. Okay, so then it also has that DC to DC charger, so it can step down the voltage to power DC stuff, and then it can take the 2 solar cells, 115 watt each, 230 watt total, with the provision of adding more solar in this port here and a port on the roof for 500 watts total solar, and it can take that energy and put it in the battery as well. So the Volta Pure Energy system includes the high voltage battery pack. It includes the high capacity inverter, the DC to DC charger, then the 2 solar cells, and the shore power. All of that works together. So basically, you don't have to think about anything, and you can just go where you want, do what you want, turn on what you want, within reasons. Like I said, I did an earlier video where I was off the grid for 8 days in total with this vehicle, and I never had to worry about power. Okay. The other systems in it are also high-end RV systems. So we can go through those, and we can go on the coach right now and look at those. Living under this occasional daybed and third seat is the climate control system, and this is a Truma system. Now this is completely unobtrusive. It's heated by propane or electricity or both together. Okay, so it'll use some combination of all of those. What's unique about it is that it doesn't make any noise. So I have a traditional trailer as well, and when I turn the thermostat on it, I hear this click, and then I hear the fan spin up to speed, and then I hear whoosh when the pilot light ignites the propane, and then it's really noisy. And then having it cut in and cut out to maintain the temperature is really distracting. Now, I'm happy to have it if it's cold because it's heat, but this, you don't hear that. You know, I can turn on this system and there's just a faint hum, and it's not obtrusive at all. I'm not aware of it coming in and out. Okay, so that is a really, and when I, look at that furnace, it looks nothing like the Coleman furnace in my other RV. Okay, so it's a very sophisticated system, being able to be powered by electrical or propane, and it also ties in the water heater as well. Okay, so coming in the RV then, so that's what this is, and then we can control it here, and then I can control the temperature of the RV, the temperature of the water, and then choose if it's propane or electric, and then choose the fan speed. Okay, so very sophisticated controls for that. What we're looking at here is a true induction cooktop. So induction cooktops work differently than cooktops that use radiant heat or that use a flame. Those systems, the burner will get hot, and then it'll heat the pan, and then it'll heat the food in the pan. With an induction, it doesn't transfer heat from the burner to the pan. It directly, through an electromagnetic field, heats the entire pan up. So it cooks a lot faster than a regular either glass top or even gas stove, because essentially it makes the whole pan the heating element, skipping that sort of inefficiency between. You need to use a conductive pot, because that's what the electromagnetic field is based on. But it's extremely effective, and like I said, it boils water, and it must be half the time of my gas range. Okay, so we've got that, and then we've got a microwave of a decent size that lives below that, typical AC run microwave, and the induction cooktop is also AC. The fridge is actually a decent size. It's not very tall, but it's actually quite deep, and so if you can get the video in there, there's actually room for quite a lot of stuff, and then there's the freezer there, which actually works pretty well. Okay, so you really do have everything that you need for off-the-grid camping, especially if you've got an auxiliary barbecue. We have the single sink and a bamboo cutting board underneath that, and then we've got this rack system. So we have these slider racks which can go on any of the tracks in the AC, and we have all the windows have these retractable blinds on them. We have like a full-size bathroom. The light for that is there, and it's got the toilet and shower. The drain for the shower is beneath there, and we can just, if we go and look at the shower head there. So in this particular unit, I don't think the shower has ever been used, but it's a decent size. You can stand up in it, and that's different. Some of the other Class Bs just have cassette toilets, and that's completely different. Okay, so you get basically a full-size washroom in this Class B. There is ample storage throughout, which is, I guess, self-explanatory. We've got a TV with a sound bar, and then it's got a prime Fire Stick in there, so you can get lots of audio-visual options. And then there is, up top, there is a WinGuard Wi-Fi amplifier that you can either subscribe to and get a whole host of programming, or you can put your own SIM card in it and then use it as a Wi-Fi hotspot. The battery pack is going to live under the bed here, and if we do pull up the cushions, we can see that there is waterproof storage bins that line the underneath of the bed as well, and some storage that's accessible from the rear. Okay. This is, of course, the AC unit, and it draws about 1,200 watts on low and probably 2,000 watts on high. And even at low, you know, at 30 degrees Celsius temperatures, it cools the RV quite effectively. Going forward here, maybe just step out of the RV. We have multiple options for tables. This can be pulled up, and then this post can be relocated to the rear. And then the tabletop moved. So this can go here. Also, of course, this is a slider. It slides out, and then we can fill in this area with these two side cushions and form a flat bed. So you can either use it as two twin beds or one bed, or you can use it as a dining area or a workstation, as you can with this. Now, this table here is on, let me just show, maybe step back a bit, is on a rack system, and so we can fold this up, and just undo this here. Okay, and then this can fold up against the back of the seat and out of the way, or you can just remove it and take it out completely. I've got a trickle charger here that is attached to the chassis battery and running on the AC system. And so when I have the inverter on, I'm actually charging the chassis battery. That's important because if you're opening and closing the door, it'll use the chassis battery, and we don't want that to run out. This bed also folds out, and we can take this cushion off. And then that folds out like so. And this can be a day bed for or a bed for a child, or a place for a dog to sleep, or whatever you decide to make of it. So, and like I said, the furnace just lives right below there, and we can put this back like so. There's also a little bit of extra storage behind here, which is actually quite deep, and I just use that for garbage bags and paper towels and so forth. Okay, so this Boldt has 3 belts, 3 seated belted seats up front, and then there's also seat belts in the rear. There's 3 other seat belts in the rear, lap belts, so you can carry 6 in total. I'll show you this battery controller here. So this is the Volta system, and this is the power meter. It's green from 20 to 100. From 20 to 10, it's amber, and from 10 to 0, it glows red. So when you're not using the AC and you don't need the DC in the battery inverted from DC to AC, then you should turn it off. This panel here tells me that the inverter is on, and that it's running at 50.9 volts, so not 12 volts, but over 50, and that we can also see that it is plugged into shore power right now, and it is charging. We have interior lights here, and our lights for the awning, and exterior lights over here. So that's what this panel does, and we keep a sharp eye on the state of charge here. With this vehicle, I can go off the grid for an entire week, take half a day, dump, go to the grocery store, drive to the next location in two hours, and then go for another week off the grid. Okay, that is unique for a Boldt. Other RVs just can't do that. You would have to find another solution to charge up. Either they wouldn't have enough storage to last a week, or if they did have enough storage to last a week, you couldn't charge it in 2 hours. So that's what gives you, I would say, the most flexibility. You can go where you want, when you want, and at least around here, you don't need reservations because there's enough unserviced campsites, unreserved, that are held back. So you can virtually go to any campground you want. They'll always, or usually in my experience, always have unreserved campgrounds. You don't need to plug in, and you don't have to worry about losing power. So all you need to do is dump your tanks and add fresh water and buy groceries, and you can go from campsite to campsite without having to conserve, without having to worry about which appliance you're going to use at once for blowing a breaker or so on. You can treat it as though you were plugged into shore power and can run everything at once, yet you're running off the battery. And then when it comes time to move locations, that battery gets charged fully in just a couple of hours. So that's what makes this special. It's what makes it expensive too. This was $250,000. I mean, you're not getting a fully outfitted Class B for under 200,000 US, at least MSRP. This was 250, and I think the other Winnebago, the Era, I think was 2.25. So you had to pay a pretty big premium to get all this equipment, but it allows you, what the essence of Class Bs, which are being able to just get in and go somewhere and not have to plan too much, and you can get in your van because it's a manageable size. You can go downtown, you can park it, you can go anywhere. You don't have to worry about getting stuck at a gas station because you can't get in and out because your rig's too long. So it offers the flexibility of size, but also the flexibility of power as well. We can get a shot of the awning, and we can turn on some exterior lights, and we see that we've got this LED strip, and this awning will, if there's a wind gust, it'll automatically retract. Normally with awnings you have to be really careful with wind because they'll break very easily, and so this one will retract for you. Around the back, we've got some storage back here for cables and various other things. There is of course a water purifier in the RV. We have nets in the doors. This is a auxiliary shower hose. So this will just plug into the fitting here, and now you've got an outdoor shower with hot and cold, and with your water pump. We also have a auxiliary propane outlet here, and so you can attach a propane hose and an outdoor barbecue. If we get up here, we can see that, well, first of all, we have an extra table leg, extra exterior light, and we have these curtains, privacy curtains, which are quite slick. So you can unzip the interior, so you just have the netting, and so you can sleep in your bed and see outside, open the doors or not, and then have the mosquito netting. You can, just open the bottom to get access to whatever you need. You can, if you've zippered them up, they've got magnetic. It's a magnetic curtain, so you can just get the strap and just open it, and then it'll fall back to where it was. And that's super convenient, not having to zip and unzip. And we've got one of those over here too. And this is good because it's good ventilation when you're cooking. And so then again, this falls down like so. Zippers up. But then when you want to enter the RV, you can just yank this and then step in. This table, if you want, will also, if you loosen this up, this will also come outside. And so if you like, you can undo that. You can set this up outside, and then you can also vary the height. So then that can be adjusted, and we can get it at a more manageable height if you're, serving food outside. So if you undid the shade, the privacy shade, you can be left with just the bug screen, and then you can open the rear doors as well. So the exterior mirror, or the windows, are heavily mirrored. So unless the lights are on inside, nobody can really see in. So, for sleeping, you might prefer, just to leave that open, depending on where you are. And then you get a wonderful, natural light in the morning. Or you can put that up if you want your privacy, and you can slide up the windows. These are really useful containers. I've got the remote controls for the soundbar and the TV in there on both sides. Additional tracks. These are speakers for the Sprinter van. This is the sound bar. And in just about every location, you can see either 12-volt outlets or USBs, and there's got to be 10 of them, including in most of the cupboards. So if you want to put your devices away and have them charged, in just about all the cupboards, there's outlets as well. And there's 120-volt outlets, again, scattered generously throughout the coach. In this cupboard here, we've got more USBs. We've got the control for the WinGuard Wi-Fi booster, and over here, this is the DC to DC converter, or charger converter, and so that'll take the DC that's in the high voltage battery pack at 50 volt and drop it down to 12 volt where it's needed. And it'll also take the DC that's coming in from the solar cells and convert that up to 50 volt and put it in the battery. So this unit is going all the time. When it is really sunny out, it actually gets quite hot, just converting the solar power to put in the battery. The electric door is attached to the chassis battery, and there is a switch there to close it, and there's also one on the center between the cup holders and the dash. So all that makes it pretty convenient. So you can be driving, hit the button on the dash, the sliding door opens, and then you have easier ingress and egress. For fresh water, we've got a fresh water tank, we've got 2 gray water tanks. We have the drain hose, which lives under here, and then we have the drain that gets taken out, and you then connect it to the two. This is the fresh water tank for the shower, and this is the black water and the gray water from the sink that come out there. Okay, and we've got our water connections for just filling the tank or for connecting the city water to it, and then we've got flushing systems, so you can plug in the water to flush the tanks out. Okay. There's a roof rack on the vehicle, and this ladder on the back can then detach, and then it can move all around the coach, connecting to the roof rack so you can get up there. If you get up on the ladder, what you see is I'll show you a picture of that. There's the 2 solar cells, there's the AC, there's the roof vents as well. Lastly, just going around the vehicle, it has less than 20,000 kilometers on it. It's never seen any snow or salt. It doesn't really have any evidence of wear anywhere in the vehicle. I mean, some of the decals are a little bit faded. You know, the tires still have excellent tread depth. I'm not sure how much, but I doubt more than 20% gone. So they probably 80% left in them. If we go around the front, it's had 2 services, one at around 10,000 kilometers, one at 15,000 kilometers. By time it's due for a service, but it only has about 4,000 kilometers on the last service, so I would extend that until probably next spring. The engine bay is in immaculate condition and order, as we can see. You know, there's a couple little chips in the front that have been filled in, and there's some bugs on the screen, but you know, there's the odd little rock trip, and that's really it for flaws. There's no damage on the undercarriage. There's no door dings. There's no scrapes. You know, it's never run into anything. There's no marks anywhere on it. So it's basically, these are decals, and they're just vinyl decals that we're using the vehicle for to promote a charity, and they just come off. I just put them on recently, and they just peel off. So I think that's it on the 2020 Winnebago Boldt. In summary, it's based on sort of the highest end Mercedes chassis, latest version with all the driving aids. There's a turbo diesel engine which offers excellent fuel economy, excellent range. Road manners are excellent, braking, the ability to hold a grade without staying on the brakes is excellent. It's Winnebago's top of the line RV. It's the most luxurious, they made it the most luxurious RV they could. It is an advanced Volta Pure3 lithium-ion battery system, and all the other appliances in it are high-end, and all the extra sort of fittings. So this is about as good as it gets with a high-end Class B motorhome that is in basically new condition, and is, you know, MSRP in Canada on this was $370,000 in 2023. So the chassis alone is 90,000 Canadian dollars just for the chassis, without even, with a bare metal frame and bare metal insides. Even before Winnebago started to even build an RV, it's a $90,000 chassis. So this is not an inexpensive vehicle, but the next owner would take advantage of the fact that it was properly looked after. It was always garaged. It was never left outside. The kitchen, you know, I used it for a week, and then it made like 2 other meals in its life. The bathroom was barely used, and really it shows like no signs of wear whatsoever. And so it is tremendous value at this point. And you know, it just offers you the adventure and memories of just starting in it and going anywhere you want, and knowing and having the confidence that you don't have to plan for anything, because it's an entirely self-contained vehicle, and it can be off the grid just on its own for up to an entire week on its own. So with that, Lromanosky from Calgary, Canada, please like and subscribe and bid if you'd like to own this 2020 Winnebago Boldt.